Okay. But I had a friend who experienced it like almost every day for like five years of his life. And one time we were hiking together in 2011. We were hiking on this. We were trekking into the jungles of this national park in northeastern Cambodia, and we were camping out, and we were with like indigenous Hills tribe people, indigenous Aboriginal people, and also some park rangers who were with us. So there were several Cambodians with us, and we were camping out. And when you camp out, you actually like sleep in these hammocks with mosquito netting and things like this. And my friend experienced sleep paralysis, which he usually experiences. And in this state of sleep paralysis, he called it a forest spirit, and it was kind of like kind of a half wolf, half man spirit approached him while he was in sleep paralysis. And my hammock was right next to his, and I could hear him going, "Oh no, no!" like this. And I'm like, Greg, what's going on? Are you okay? And finally he woke up, and the next morning he said he had been visited by this forest spirit, which came up to him and whispered in his ear and said, "Why do you come to the green corridor? Why do you come to the green corridor?" And so when he wrote his memoirs, when he wrote his book about his travels and his research with the Hills tribe people, the name of his book is Journey to the Green Corridor. Okay, so that's all well and good, sleep paralysis, right? And I've also had this experience numerous times. Okay, so the weird thing was, though, in 2015, we go back to the same place, and we're even trekking with a lot of the same guys. And by the way, when those Aboriginals heard that he had been visited by a forest spirit, they were scared, really, really, really scared. And they had to do a bunch of like magical spirit stuff to kind of spirit away the bad spirits. And in fact, they didn't want to continue going into the forest. So we go back in 2015, and we're as deep in the forest as you're ever going to get. And we're like, not that far from the Laos border, and we're in extreme northeastern Cambodia, and it's about 10 o'clock at night. And I haven't had sleep paralysis for probably at least a year or two. And we both get in our hammocks. It's about 10 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden I have sleep paralysis. And I'm trying to wake up, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, they can hear me, whatever, making sounds like, I'm trying to wake up. And there was this, to me, it was not any sort of a malevolent spirit. It was like an ancient stag, an ancient deer with antlers and horns that came running through the camp and passed right by my hammock. So finally I wake up, I get out of the sleep paralysis, and everyone is, "Richard, what's going on?" Actually, they thought it was Greg. And Greg was like, "It wasn't me, it's Richard, it's Richard." And I said, "Did some large animal just run through camp?" And they were like, "No." And I'm like, "Man, this place is haunted." And so anyway, the next morning I get up and we're talking about it. And as it turns out, Greg had sleep paralysis at the exact moment I had. And he had also simultaneously seen something big running through our camp. And it had horns or antlers. And, when you say horns, then people start thinking demonic. But this was not evil. It was like a Pleistocene deer from the Ice Age that came running through our camp. And the odd thing is, of course, that both of us experienced this at the same time. And I'm not saying it happened or it didn't happen, but it's just interesting. These sorts of things are interesting. I'm just curious, Donovan, why do you think people like scary stories? Even if they don't believe in ghosts, they don't believe in demons, they don't believe in any of this stuff, but they love the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose, or they love the Poltergeist movies, or they are so fascinated by The Exorcist, which is actually a classic. I love that movie. What do you think?
Difficult to say. All I know is I love horror movies. It's my favorite genre, and for me, it's an escape from the real horrors of daily life.
Yeah, the real horrors are not ghosts,
the real
right?
horrors
Yeah.
that are happening to all of us, the pressures of life, and all the terrible things that are happening in the news. So horror movies are a release. I must tell you, but the problem is this: it's so difficult to find good horror stories. I'm very fussy, and people are scared by the most ridiculous things. So there are horror movies like Annabelle. I don't know if you know what Annabelle is.
I haven't seen that one, actually.
It's a possessed little doll. It's this ugly-looking little doll.
All right.
It's just the most ridiculous movie ever. My least favorite horror movies are demon possession movies. Because people believe it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to encourage more people to believe it.
Right.
And ghost movies for the same reason. I don't believe that ghosts exist, so I don't want people to be encouraged. I hate it when some of these movies at the start say based on a true story, because I'm like, yeah, it's like true in the sense of the stories that you've been telling are true,
right?
But they've been passed along,
right?
I mean, like your sleep paralysis when you both had it at the same time, and you both seeing like a stag and that. Well, that's a really, really good story.
Yeah.
But I still want to know why I've been around this long and I've never experienced anything supernatural when I'm open to it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can't explain that either. I don't know. I think, anyway, I think
you've all just been drinking too much or something.
Yeah, that could be. That could be. I don't know. Anyway, I got a couple more stories here. I got some classic ghost stories. There's a phenomenon which is also in a movie. What is it? The Sixth Sense, where the little boy, the little boy sees ghosts.
Don't give away the ending of the Sixth Sense.
But actually, that's not a bad movie, though.
Oh no, I've got two favorite ghost movies, and like I say, I don't believe in ghosts, but my two favorite ghost movies is The Sixth Sense, and then The Others with Nicole Kidman. Is brilliant.
I haven't seen that one, but I would say my favorite ghost movie is Ring, and it's not The Ring. Don't confuse it with the J.R. Tolkien fantasy. It's called Ring because the phone rings.
Yeah, but are you talking about the original Japanese one? Or,
yes,
okay.
And there was an American remake.
Yeah. I like the American remake.
Oh, you like the American remake? I like the original Japanese movie, and I don't know why. It's a good story for one thing, and it's also, I always like investigative journalist movies for some reason.
Yeah, look, I want to watch the Japanese one, but hey, Netflix, when you put movies on, why don't you give them English subtitles? I know you've got English subtitles for The Ring.
Okay, so anyway, hopefully Netflix heard that.
I hope somebody at Netflix heard that, because at the moment all it's got is traditional Chinese subtitles. How's that going to help me?
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe Netflix heard that if there's such a thing as ESP. Which is another interesting one, extrasensory perception, where you can read other people's thoughts, or what's happening with something going on the other side of the planet. And maybe we can talk about that next time when we have Darren on the show, because Darren has kind of a ghost story / extrasensory perception experience that I thought was really interesting. Anyway, I was just saying that, there is this phenomenon where people can see ghosts. And
no,
you don't believe it?
No.
What are they seeing then, Donovan?
They see. Well, it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
But people have hallucinations.
Okay.
People see things that aren't there.
Right.
When your buddy saw his forest spirit, you didn't see the forest spirit.
No.
It really is more likely that he's just hallucinated something.
Well, that can be explained by sleep paralysis. If you actually Google it and read about it,
sounds like you can have horrifying, nightmarish experiences with it, but that's a nightmare.
Right, exactly. But I was just going to say, I'll tell you a couple more stories. There's this one interesting, Donovan doesn't believe it, of course, but it's still a good story. Some people claim they can see ghosts.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and here's another one, a friend of a friend. Okay, so anyway, my friend who works at another language center, he told me this story quite recently, actually. He said there was a student in his class last year, a couple of years ago, and she sat in the front row. And she was always seemed extremely distracted. Like she was always looking up and fidgeting around and, seemed distracted by things that weren't there. And he just kind of let it go. He just kind of accepted it because she seemed kind of interested in the class and she got good grades and everything. And I can't remember her name. She had a name. And then one day she didn't come to class and some of her classmates told my friend, do you know what's wrong with Sandy or whatever her name is? Do you know about her? Do you know what the deal is? Do you know what's going on with her? And Greg is like, no, what's up? And they're like, she can see ghosts. That's why she's like that. And then Greg found out, he teaches at medical university, right? He teaches at Chang'an University, and his classroom is like 2 stories above the morgue, where they keep the cadavers, the dead bodies for all the anatomy students to dissect. And apparently that place is just swarming with ghosts. Anyway, it's a good story. You have to admit it's a good story. You know what?
It is a good story. I just wanted to say something here. I just want to point out, I also see dead people. I call it teaching Monday morning, 8 o'clock classes. Just zombies. Look out there and those students, there's no hope.
Yeah, there's no hope.
It's not their fault. It's just a Monday morning. It's not good for any of us.
Yeah.
I see dead people.
You see dead people, spiritually dead people.
Yeah.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Hey,
sorry.
Bob.
It's not really true. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, there is one last story, though, I'd like to tell before we wrap this up. And this is told to me by my friend, not my friend Greg, but another friend of mine that used to live in Taiwan, who left Taiwan, and she told the following story. And, this is also explainable. I think we'll ask Donovan what he thinks afterwards. Okay, so she's in Taiwan. She's teaching English. She used to be my coworker, actually, at the previous school that I worked at. And she moves into this new apartment. And one night, it's probably her first or second night in this new apartment. And she's living there by herself. She has no roommates. It's like a studio apartment. And so she goes to sleep and she turns off the TV and she covers herself with a blanket. Okay, so in the middle of the night, she wakes up. First of all, the lights are on. Okay, so she didn't turn the lights on. The lights are on, her blanket is folded up on the floor, and the TV is on. And she's like, I thought I turned the lights off. I thought the TV is off when I went to bed. I thought the blanket was covering me when I went to sleep. So she gets up, she turns off the TV, she turns off the lights, and she covers herself with the blanket again. And it happens again. She wakes up a couple hours later, and the exact same thing has happened. The lights are on, the TV is on, and her blanket is folded up on the floor next to her. And okay, now she's kind of freaking out. So she doesn't really get much sleep that night. The next morning, she goes and talks to the landlady, and she says, what's going on? She thought maybe someone was playing a practical joke on her. Are there other people that have keys to this apartment? And the landlady said, why? Did you see something strange? And she's like, yes. And the landlady is like, well, there are other renters here that do see strange things. What did you see? And that was the end of it. She didn't wait around. She spent the night at her friend's house, and she moved out of that apartment the next day. So what do you think, Donovan? Do you think my friend is telling a lie?
I think she did stuff in her sleep, like fold blankets.
Yeah, could be. That would be an explanation, that she was actually sleepwalking, right? And doing this and not being fully conscious of it. Yeah, that's a possibility. Anyway, I think that's it for today.
Okay, well, I just want to say your stories are really creepy.
Okay.
And I think you would be the perfect person to have around the campfire.
Oh, yeah.
Because you would freak people out.
Well, I like stories.
Nobody would be able to sleep afterwards.
Okay, all right.
Except me, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's part of my mission on Earth, to freak people out. No, just kidding. Anyway, that concludes our session today about weird happenings and the spirit world, ghosts and goblins. And thank you, Donovan, for joining us. And maybe we can do another session. Okay. And this is Richard and Donovan's friend. Does he have a name?
Bob.
Donovan's friend, Bob, signing off. Happy hauntings. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.